Hello and welcome to audiences in the UK and around the world. We're covering all the latest coronavirus developments here in Britain and globally. First, though, it's being held as the most important deal in EU history. After days of disagreement, EU leaders have reached a deal over a package of measures to support their economies worst hit by the crisis. The financial help is worth €500 billion. That's around $550 billion. In the days other developments, Italy and Spain say their lockdowns will continue until at least May. However, the Spanish Prime Minister has said the beginning of a decline in the country's cases was in sight. In Japan, a less positive outlook as cases of coronavirus rose despite a state of emergency. In the UK, 881 people infected with coronavirus lost their lives in the last 24 hours. And that takes the total deaths in hospitals here to 7,987. In the United States, the latest jobs figures were released showing a massive 6.5 million new unemployment claims in just the last week, taking the three-week total to almost 17 million.
The Australian researchers reaching a new phase of testing for a vaccine.
And liftoff.
And getting away from it all, the Russian space mission leaving the virus behind. In the United States, where the number of people seeking unemployment benefits has surged for a third week as the economic toll tied to the coronavirus pandemic intensifies. The country is now the epicenter of the global pandemic, with nearly 17,000 recorded deaths so far. 6.5 million people filed for unemployment benefits in the US in the last week alone. That brings the number of claims to almost 17 million in just 3 weeks. New figures also show that up to 60,000 Americans could die with coronavirus, downscaling earlier estimates. But there's little cause for celebration there, as the state of New York reported 799 deaths, the highest number in a single day since the outbreak began. And the US state of Georgia has postponed primary elections for a second time due to the pandemic. They are now scheduled to be held in June, not May. A statement said the decision prioritized the health and safety of voters, county election officials and poll workers. At least 15 other states have also postponed their primaries. EU finance ministers have agreed a €500 billion rescue package for European countries hit hard by the coronavirus pandemic. Loans will be provided to help countries pay healthcare costs, as well as supporting companies and unemployed workers. And South Africa is to extend its nationwide lockdown until the end of April as it battles the coronavirus. The president, Cyril Ramaphosa, said there was clear evidence that the restriction was already limiting the spread of Covid-19. He also announced that senior politicians would donate a third of their salaries to help the worst affected by the pandemic and urged business leaders to do the same. Now, street traders in South America say they are unable to obey government orders to stay indoors because doing so would leave them unable to feed their families, while official vendors in Chile are closing their doors. Unofficial sellers are still trying to make a living, with some in Mexico saying the pandemic has seen their businesses halve. Matt Graveling reports.
For decades, 76-year-old Maria has made ends meet by selling from this spot. As well as making money to survive, she also supports her family.
I have to live. I have to eat. The coronavirus has affected me in sales. Look how it's affected me. Since I arrived, I haven't sold anything yet, and I have to be here until 3 or 4 p.m. Look what I've sold. God today gives me no more sales but for these little eggs.